Hi everyone, welcome to the Rangers review pre-match briefing. We're here at the Smiza Stadium ahead of a inconsequential game, we'll call it, Chris Jack, Rangers against Mirren in the Scottish Premiership. 5 games to go. Barrie Ferguson has challenged his team, Chris, to win all 5 of the remaining fixtures. This is, how would you preview this game? Give it a bit more anticipation than I'm managing.
Some football will be played. Some goals may or may not be scored, and Rangers may or may not win the game. Chances of Rangers winning all 5 of these post-split fixtures, I think, are perhaps somewhat slim, given their form. Like you said, inconsequential there. I think that sums it up. There's not a lot to play for. Barrie had, I think, he said what he had to say yesterday in terms of trying to keep the momentum and try and keep a bit of motivation within this squad. But we'll also get into the team line. I think people would have been expecting a couple more changes than what we've got this afternoon.
Yeah, let's get right into the team then, Chris. Rangers line up: Liam Kelly in goals, a back 5, we presume. James Tavernier, John Souttar, Robin Proper, Clinton Nsiala and Chefty. Bailey Rice, Nico Raskin and Mohamed Diomande in the midfield with Cyril Dessers and Hamza Igaman up front. I'll read the bench as well, Chris. It is Butland, Cortez, Barron, Bayrami, Cherney, Hadji, Curtis, McCallion and Danilo. Barrie Ferguson, as you say, Chris, says he wants to win these final 5 games. He also, if you remember, after Rangers, I think their last Premiership game, which was the 2-0 defeat against Hibs at home, insinuated that Rangers were going to have to go in a different direction to effectively, reading between the lines, win ugly between now and the end of the season. Is the fact that he's gone with a back 5 here and kind of stuck largely with his tried and tested 11 a reflection of both those points?
I think so. We also had our predicted teams on the site this morning. I don't think any of us got it bang on. Now that's not an unusual situation because it has been a fairly difficult team to predict over the course of the season. I am surprised at some of the changes. It does look a side that has been picked, obviously, to try and win the game. The Rangers can't just completely throw these next 5 games. But you look at that lineup and you try and think of what are you going to learn from it? Not very much. You're going to learn nothing by playing Robin Proper. Bailey Rice, pleased to see him in there. Pleased to see Hamza Igaman playing, but it's probably not going to be in that number 9 role because that's where Cyril Dessers will be. So I don't think you're going to learn an awful lot about him. It's a difficult one for Barrie, but ultimately fans are looking at the bigger picture now. What's the best that Rangers can hope to get out of these next 5 games? Yes, 5 wins, but you need a bit of optimism on certain players. A lot of these players, we know what they're good at, we know what they can and cannot do. I thought you would see a couple more changes than that, just to try to experiment, turning it to a further degree with these matches coming up.
Yeah, presuming if it's a back 5, you presume that Igaman's playing close to right up to the top with Cyril Dessers. But as you say, we've seen it really since Danilo came out of the team that Igaman's form has suffered because largely he's had to do a lot more for the team. He's been the one who's had to maybe drop and link the attacks a bit more, whereas Dessers remains high. Do you think it's going to be a continuation of that today, Chris, where maybe he's playing number 9, but still he'll be doing more to support Dessers than the other way around? Is that too harsh a way of looking at it? Because I'm in agreement with you. I think these 5 games, I understand Barrie Ferguson wanting to win them. I would have liked to see a little bit more rotation in that team today. What do you make of that front 2 and how it will function if it is a front 2 today?
I think if you're Danilo, you're probably feeling a bit down in the dumps right now. You're a guy who needs game time, who needs to try and get some goals, who's got points to prove. His second season, it's not been the write-off that the first campaign was, but it's certainly not been the season that he needed. When we spoke to him in pre-season, after coming back from that knee injury, there was a lot of excitement there. He had done a lot of the hard yards. He had put in those long hours over the course of several months. He was ready for this season, and it's just never got going for him. There was a period earlier on in this season where it was Danilo and Igaman, and it looked like Rangers had almost stumbled onto something. It looked like they finally had a solution there. Of course, issues then take over, and that's not happened. I don't really see what you're going to learn by playing Dessers and Igaman together. If you're going to go with a 2, it had to be Igaman and Danilo as your two, to try and learn something about that as a partnership. There's more chance of those two still being at the club next season than a Dessers and Igaman partnership being there next season. So again, it should have been used as a learning opportunity, but Barrie clearly still wants to set out a side that's going to try and win this game. Dessers obviously spoke yesterday about trying to get beyond his goal tally of last season, so that might motivate him. He may well play well, he may well score. In the grand scheme of things, does it really make any difference unless it's Cyril Dessers? No.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Midfield, Bailey Rice has been picked a few times by Barry Ferguson, now comes into the middle of the pitch. It's presumably Rice will be the deepest of the midfielders, with Raskin and Diomande a little bit higher up. Again, if you're playing a back five, it's maybe not the most offensive-minded midfield three, but good to see Rice get another start in there.
He had to play today. If he hadn't played today, he's feeling even more down in the dumps than Danilo is. These games are a huge opportunity for Bailey Rice. I think Barry mentioned him a couple of times post-match over the last few weeks, saying that he's a talented player, but he's still got things to learn. He's only going to learn. He's only going to improve if you actually give him game time at a proper level. We've written and we've spoken a lot about the academy over the course of this season, and the preparation that does for young players in terms of getting them into that first team squad. We know it's not good enough. We know it has to improve. Bailey Rice has got a chance of being part of this squad next season. Therefore, he has to be playing in these matches. So, looking forward to seeing him and seeing how he performs at this level today.
Just finally, Chris, Clinton Nsiala does play. There's no other centre backs I think available, with a number of injuries in those positions. Robin Proper comes back in. Liam Kelly continues in goals. It's something it's a talking point that's kind of quieting down in recent weeks. But if you're looking ahead to the summer and you're considering just how much change could take place, the likes of Danilo, Ridvan, Dessers, none of those futures are certain by any means. Every game that Jack Butland spends on the bench, does that increasingly put his name in that conversation too?
I think I made the point ahead of the European game where Butland also came out of the side and said that if he didn't play, then that was basically his Rangers career over. I don't see how Jack Butland can come back from being taken out of the side in that way. Also, Kelly then has a great night and saves a penalty at Ibrox. I think we've probably seen the last of Jack Butland in a Rangers jersey. As myself and Stevie touched on the talking point, it's going to be out tomorrow. You can't have Jack Butland with his profile, with his wages, with his contract situation. He can't be a Rangers number two. That's an absurd situation for Rangers. If Jack Butland's at the club, he has to be number one. On form, he doesn't deserve to be in the side. That causes not Barrie a huge problem right now because the season's all but done. It causes the next manager and Kevin Thelwell an issue. They have to solve that goalkeeper issue. You would imagine Butland would get a game at some point over the next 4 as it'll be after this now, almost perhaps as a thank you and a farewell. We'd also like to see Mason Munn get one of them as well, so maybe a wee bit more rotation in the goalkeeping ranks to come.
Yeah, okay, we'll leave it there. We'll be live at some point after the game and bringing you all the reaction from Barry Ferguson and the Rangers camp. Remember, this video is brought to you by S1 Jobs. If it's time to hand in your own transfer request at work, head over to s1jobs.com and upload your CV today. Thousands of jobs across the Central Belt. And do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you've not done so already. We'll be live at some point after the game. Enjoy it wherever you're watching it, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.